I'm Boaz. I'm one of the co-founders at Falkin. We're building simple but powerful tools to help protect financial institution customers from scams and social engineering threats.
That is the simplest, cleanest way of describing Falcon. I love it. Look, one of the things that we talked about when we sort of got into the intro call for this was like why this is so necessary today, right? Rise of AI. You were commenting on the post, being like, Viraj, you could have just asked for a profile picture. For you, is it an own problem, or is it something that you just thought needs to be out there in the world?
Yeah, it's a problem that's super close to my heart. My mother lost 15% of her life savings last year, May, in a single afternoon, and her bank actually wasn't super helpful through the process. Through that experience as a product management guy, I spoke to a ton of people of all ages and just realized that this was a $1 trillion problem. One in four people on Earth are affected, and the problem is only getting worse with AI. So I saw that as also a market opportunity, but we're a mission-driven organization that our goal is to prevent scams from happening
How do
for
you
everyday
prevent
people.
scams? There's always going to be bad actors in the world. We're always going to have people who want to try and find the easy way to do something. Like, what's the play here?
So the play here is, you know, in life, there can never be zero risk. You
Hmm.
cannot eliminate crime, right? Cannot solve crime. So we believe that people need a first line of defense against the deception that exists. Scams have existed since the dawn of time. And our approach here is to get digital safety tools into everyday consumers and help them. It can be within the transaction stage when money's moving their accounts, but also beyond that. So easily checking, is this a trusted website? Is this a trusted email? Are there any signs of danger in this message, in this phone number? And that's the sort of product capabilities that we're building.
The product capabilities, like, how do you think about the different feature sets within that, right? Is it an OS that sits on top of the phone? But then you can't integrate straight into like Apple's ecosystem, or does it start as an app first and then sort of gets integrated into the other applications that you're using on a daily basis, and sort of the app is like home base?
Yeah, so I think there's a few ways to think about it. There's multiple entry points. You actually can integrate with native OS APIs and SDKs with the big OEMs like Android and iOS.
Oh, so you
That's where
can.
we believe you can
Oh,
do that.
wow.
So iOS is a little bit more constrained. We believe that at least initially, the entry point should be in the trusted financial app, because when you get scammed, you're not really calling Android, you're not really calling Google or Apple. You're actually calling a family member, or you're calling your bank. So we are focused on embedding the technology into financial institutions, and essentially it intersects across the operating system layer as well as other entry points. So our tools, for example, are super easy to use. They can be fully embedded in a mobile app. And then essentially there's two types of user experiences. Viraj can actively check something like sending a screenshot of a purchase you're about to make, or a website domain, or opt into a more passive experience that's just working in the background. We cater for both of those.
Right. And so it's a more cohesive relationship than one might think just straight off the bat.
Yes, it's much more cohesive. So it really we see engagement with different demographics depending on where they are in their journey. So, for example, now in the UK and the US, Gen Z are more likely to fall for phishing links than their grandparents and parents. So that's
Is
closer
that
to
because they didn't
purchase
grow
scams.
up with the idea of the URL consistently? Have you figured that
Yes,
out?
yes, this is exactly it. So the proliferation of .xyz, .ai domains is leading to an increase in phishing, plus some of these no-code builders that's making it super easy to spin up sites. So I won't mention them by name, but the famous ones across the top two, three market leaders in no-code builders are now accountable for about 10 to 15% of the monthly internet traffic, which is then also directly correlated to the increasing phishing links.
How interesting. What else? What other stats have you got for me? This is so
Ah,
interesting.
I have so many stats, man. So in the UK, last 12 months, 7 million people were scammed. Okay. That's probably
Okay, so
underreported.
that's every single, almost every single person in London. It's about 7 to 10 million, right?
Well, that's the UK as a whole. So
Sorry, but like if
uh,
all in one place, it's the population of the
yes,
city of
that's
London.
almost the population of the city of London. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Do we have
There's
is
report.
there a value on that?
So the reported UK number is about a
Hmm.
billion pounds per year,
Jesus.
but that's also widely known as being heavily underreported because, for example, like in my mom's case, a lot of victims are riddled with shame and trauma, and then they
Hmm.
feel like they're stupid, which is part of the stigma that we're trying to move away from. So, by all accounts, that number is heavily underreported. And to put that in context, that's almost the same as just text message scams in the United States. And that's just one scam. So that's just a drop in the ocean in terms of global scam losses.
And so what do we have to do about this? Like, is it as simple as people just start using applications like yours and technologies like yours, or are there, offline sort of things that we can do collectively to make sure that we are
Yeah.
actively looking out for scams or
So,
preventing against fraud?
so like a lot of general health campaigns, or even
Hmm.
things like see it, say it, sorted on the
Yep.
tube, there are a few security boosts that you can try at home. So, for example, in our testing, about 80% of people over the age of 60 typically use their birthday as their passcode on their phone. That is not advisable. So,
Oh, I
like, that
would
could
I
be a
would hope so.
simple thing. That's a simple thing that you can change at home. Increasingly, you can set a family password with your family. So, like, for example, my wife unfortunately had her phone stolen in London and her cards weren't working. So she messaged my mother-in-law saying, I need access to a debit card. And my mother-in-law asked her a question that only my wife would know to verify that that is who she
You
says
can do
she
that
is.
on today's phones, on like an Android or an iOS.
I don't know if they facilitate that. I'm just more like you call them through an unknown number, and
Ah,
it sounds like your daughter, or it sounds like your mom,
right.
because
Okay.
they're in a
Yes.
crisis, they're in an
I got
emergency,
one of those
they're
the other
panicked.
day, and I was like, it was from my dad, and he was asking me for like 15 grand. I'm sitting here, and I'm like, yeah, this definitely isn't real. But it was like, hi son, da 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 da. Can you send me this money? I'm deep, I'm deep in X, and I need help. I was like, what is
Yeah.
this?
So I spoke to someone that received a phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning
Right.
from their grandmother saying that they had a plumber emergency. Can they send $5,000 to the plumber? And they sent it, and then something felt off. And then
Hmm.
they went to the granny's house like an hour away, and they woke up and she'd been fast asleep.
That I think if they catch you post 12 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock, they've got you because you were just waking up from a sleep. You're too tired to question anything. The vigilance is difficult.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's at some point this is type of technology has to be integrated into like deeply into the iOS, and so that everything that pops up, whether that's a pop up, whether that's a bad actor on a social network, whether that's someone trying to hack your phone, with the rise of Gen AI and being able to, maliciously copy text, deep fakes, all of this is going to get so much easier. Like, what's the vision for the future in something like this?
So my answer is I don't believe that there will be a holistic approach from the
Hmm.
OEMs on the OS level, because I think that by all accounts, there's a bit of a privacy paradox that exists for them. So if you take Apple as an example, I think if they were to put forward an omnipresent AI that's like your native assistant that can go really deep into the stuff, it would make
Hmm.
people feel uncomfortable. I think there's probably, certain things that you feel more comfortable with your bank helping to screen. And I think there is a valid use case for a B2C play here. Um, Maybe it could be a value added service if it's packaged as a separate feature. I don't think it will come as like a standalone setting opt in, mainly because I think you start entering into content moderation realm, which is tricky. And then secondly, uh, it is just a really tough problem to crack. if you've got 1 billion users. I think there's a valid use case for being specialized. For example, Life 360 has
Mm.
60 million users.
Yep.
60 million. It's a publicly listed company,
Yep.
and hopefully they don't mind me saying it's a glorified Find My iPhone, right? Apple could have totally built that business.
You could have made that assumption. Yeah. I don't disagree.
So that's interesting, right? That would lend you to think that they probably want to keep their arms distant from some of these problems, which creates space for specialist providers to emerge.
Interesting. So how do you guys do it at Falcon then? Like what's the edge that you have? What do you see that no one else does? Is it the way that you communicate with the customer? Is it, the ease of use of like checking if something's a
Yep.
scam? Walk me through it.
So, for us, I think we are novel, consumer-centric people at
Right.
heart. That's our background. For a few people at the team, we were at Prodigy Finance, which pioneered cross-border lending. It was almost a world first at that point. I was part of the team that were the first company on earth to do a last mile delivery of a car to people's vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
People said that no one would order a car online without seeing it. We disproved that. And now what we're saying is that people will actively engage in greater monitoring at the behavior communication layer to help stop scams before they happen. We think that there's a number of interesting companies with different twists. That's our unique edge, is trying to absorb a lot of the complexity behind the scenes and make it incredibly simple for people to seek digital safety. On a more technical level, we have become and are becoming experts in the concept of deception across a number of indicators, and we're particularly deep on messages and websites. So that's where we think is the main frontier, because websites are not going away.
Do you
So
think
the
that
construct,
do you think that the way that you communicate with your customer through I'm assuming it's some sort of like portal URL currently that will sort of like become become integrated into every product. But do you think there's a human element of that we sort of pick up on that is going to be deeply needed in moving into the future?
yes. Well, I think that from our testing, people want to engage with this in a few different ways.
Right.
Some people like to be in control, and they like having a resource that they can check. And our tagline is, when in doubt, check it out.
Mm.
So that's an active tool
When
that
in
you can
doubt,
just
check
check.
it out. Dude, you're coming out with some bangers right now.
TM, we got a trade. We got a trademark that stuff.
I
So
like it.
and then for other people, they're interested in a more embedded offering, which is then running in the background. And I think you need both. So that can come from any native app. Any people watching this can reach out to me if they want to have some access to our tools. We can easily send it to them, and we would love their feedback.
We're gonna loop it into the description when
Cool.
the video is all wrapped. I mean, like moving forward, is this something that rolls out globally? Is it very different in every market you're finding, or you can just slap it on in any country in any region in the
No,
world?
it's $1 trillion problem. It's in every country on earth, except maybe some of the sanctioned countries, and even there, it's a problem. We are focused on English-speaking countries. We are live in the UK, the US, and South Africa. The next would probably be Spanish-speaking countries.
Hmm.
The technology is totally modular and flexible. We do see regional differences because there is seasonality with scams. So, for example, in the UK, as we go into winter, you see a spike with energy government subsidy scams.
Hmm.
Beginning of summer, you see a rise in Booking.com and Airbnb scams. So there are hyper-local scams that we do see. But from a first principles approach, the technology and what we've built totally scales in 150 plus countries.
Incredible. I guess I've got to ask, how do you do it?
So there's a few different things. We have a proprietary intelligence layer that is focused on analyzing the manipulation techniques, and we do deception-based scoring across a few of these different entry points, whether it is message, website, email, etc. And then that feeds into our machine learning algorithm, which then analyzes that and provides a user-friendly risk-based score. Not a numerical score, just high risk, medium risk, low risk. And then we also leverage third-party data feeds. And then we also do AI honeypotting. So we also communicate with scammers online through personas to understand the latest manipulation techniques that exist on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, and the dark web.
In essence, the hunted becomes the hunter.
Yeah, it's the story of our lives. Is technology can be used for good, it can be used for evil. Often it's about intent. So yeah, we're just deploying it with a good outcome in mind.
How easy is it to get people onboarded into this and start using it? Is it quite sticky once they've tried it once, just because of the ease of use? When I've used it in in prep for this, I felt it was like the early stages of it where I wanted to test a Wi-Fi connection, and it was as simple as just click a button and you're good to go. Share a link and that's it. You can figure out if this is a scam or not. Have you found a similar sort of stickiness?
Yeah, we see pretty high engagement rates for the active side. If a financial institution wants to test this with their customers, we can literally spin something up in 30 minutes, and we can be even at a branch level the next day and test it out. No integration required. And then obviously for more embedded solution that's providing more passive features, that takes a little bit more time. But yeah, we're super quick. And if people want to test this out with their customers, they can literally do it next day.
What is incredibly difficult about building Falkin?
It's a very, very hard problem to solve because the pain is on a consumer level, it's on a financial institution level, and it's a broader society level. So actually one of the biggest challenges is the intersection of data privacy and greater security. Then it is how do you get it in the hands of consumers as quickly as possible for the network effects that's baked into a product like this, and who's paying. So all of those three together makes this an incredibly complicated business.
Like it's on the surface, it looks like really a great business model, right? It's like maybe charge per request, but the reality is a consumer isn't going to pay to check if it's a scam yet. Maybe downstream.
So our model is that the financial institution pays Falkin, and then they send it to their consumers for free.
And so the bank or the financial institution is that last line of defense, and so they pay for it so that their consumers are
with a view, and this is proven to reduce dodgy transactions. So actually, I mean, it's public information. Starling just yesterday announced in-house scam intelligence that they built, which is a very narrow focus on purchase scam screenshotting in the app. Ours is much broader than that. They've reduced dodgy purchase transactions by 300%.
Wow. Does Falkin operate in that same region?
Yep.
Of reliability?
Yep.
Nice. Look, I know that you've got to run. I'm sure that solving the world's problems when it comes to scam is deeply important. And so we're going to have to let you go because I know it's difficult. But before we do, I've got to ask, one, how was SaaS stock?
Oh, I actually wasn't at SaaS Talk, unfortunately. I was at another conference in the United States, so I'm going to make the next one.
Ken made me ask. I had to.
Oh no, he's thrown me under the bus there. He knows I wasn't there.
I also love to ask founders this question. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of greatest founders of all time? Who do you look at and go like, wow, I want to take some of that not inspiration, but the way that they've built their companies and apply it into the way that I'm building mine?
I would say, I mean, it's slightly less founder, but I put him in that category is Naval Ravikant. I think he's been super inspirational for me.
He's come up a lot.
I mean, that person is just like an absolute savant. And when I was younger, when I was getting into tech, I literally absorbed literally everything he said.
Did you read the almanac?
I've read all of it. You can even play around. You can create your own Naval GPT now that takes all of Naval's wisdom and then makes it into your personal code.
Best scam in the world. Naval gives you a call and says, hey, invest 1,500 into Bitcoin.
So true. Such a good one. I'll give a UK one. I really admire Mike Hudak, who's the CEO of Sling Money, who was, I think, CPO at Monzo, CTO at Deliveroo. I think he is a really, really impressive founder. And I got two more. I mean, I know he gets a lot of bad press, but I think if you've read the biography about Elon Musk and his story, it's just insane how many different companies, applying things from first
I
principles is
don't
so key.
usually ask follow-up questions, but Elon has come up a grand total of, since I started asking this question, probably about 12 times. And I think I have to double down and ask why. Like, what is it that you see there that you go, wow?
So I think what I really admire, and I would apply to Falcon, is he doesn't come actually from an engineering background. So to build a rocket company and then a renewable car company
Hmm.
and then so many others is just incredibly impressive. And I think I take inspiration from an outside perspective, looking at why something is broken and trying to rebuild it. I don't come from a security background. I was not a cyber expert before starting Falcon. And a lot of feedback was like, why are you doing this? You don't come from cyber. So I find a lot of inspiration in Elon's story and sort of going, all in. He reinvested the PayPal proceedings into Tesla. And yeah, I think obviously he's become a lot more controversial the last 5 years, but from a pure founder perspective, it's incredibly impressive.
I never asked the question with the political side views to come in, and it's really interesting how everyone always sort of like pulls it in. I think it's incredible that he's been able to build, 5+ incredible companies that could change the landscape of how we interact with the world moving forward. And the fact that he just decided to pour it all into two, and just like two eggs in two baskets, and literally just build SpaceX and Tesla at the
Yeah,
same time is incredible. You've got one
yeah.
more.
I would put Eleanor Crespo from Pigment.
Oh, very
I,
nice.
I highly recommend people listen to her interview with Harry Stebbings on 20VC. She's got a lot of interesting stuff around family life and how she hires, and what they've built there is incredibly impressive as one of Europe's fastest growing companies. And if you can try get her on the show, you should.
Oh, don't worry. I'm in her DMs. You have no fear. It will be done.
Okay.
If not online, in person. Boaz, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for
Likewise,
the
thanks for
time.
everything you're doing.
I will see
Cheers.
you soon.
See you soon. Bye.